Greetings, Captains! I am Yuzril, and this is the Tribble Timewarp. It is the 15th of April, and Cryptic have hinted in the patch notes a few times that they had partially updated the Klingon plotline. However, since you can't create a Klingon plotline, there is ostensibly no way to get a look at it. Unless, of course, you happen to have a Klingon character already on Tribble, because, hey, they didn't wipe the server. So, let's see what we've got in the journal. Crystalline Catastrophe is there, of course. That's still basically a hangover from the current event. Not entirely sure about this new journal UI. There's a lot of black and blank, particularly here in the bottom right-hand corner. Perhaps the whole thing was just, I don't know, shunted up a bit? Maybe. Anyhow, moving on. Episodes. What do we have? Well, to begin with, we have the new Empire plotline. A simple prison transfer has led to a winding path of intrigue. Sounds like somebody had a slight jailbreak problem. Alright, so, first mission, Tutorial Duty Command, rank Lieutenant 4. Interesting, the second mission has a minimum rank of Warrior. The lore nerd in me is pointing out that should probably be Beck. However, it's interesting that that mission has got a lower rank than the first. Alright, then we have Space Chase, Manhunt, and finally Assassination. Is that... Now, I'm assuming that's a placeholder picture there, because that is the Enterprise See It... what was that place? The Tholian Space Dock, where we borrowed, liberated, stole it from. None of these, unfortunately, are available, so we're going to have to move on. The War Zone. Right, so bringing down the house is the old one. The house always wins. Likewise, Test of Metal is new. Again, you'll notice it's got that placeholder image. Second start at the right and keep your enemies closer. Those are the old versions. Then we're on into the Feckley Return. That is, yeah, that's the old content. I note it's been reduced down to Lieutenant Commander 13. I have to wonder if the Shard Sword of Kahless is going to be a levelless item, and yes, I suspect it is, given that it's updating the marks but isn't displaying anything for the Shard Sword. I'm also not a great fan of the fact that the text here is going to black when I mouse over, which immediately makes it impossible to read. However, RCH, what's that? RCH buff? What on earth is the RCH buff? Not entirely sure there. What point was it doing on a rifle? However, we can come back to that. Then it's on to Vigilance, which is a completely new plotline by the look of it. So we have a house pursued and House on Fire. Now that makes me think that those are follow-ups to the Bringing Down the House and The House Always Wins, the naming scheme same. Happily, we have access to a House Pursued, so we may see how that goes. Alpha, of course, is a rerun, as is Temporal Ambassador. Interestingly, you're getting that at Commander 20. So basically, the moment you hit Commander, you will have access to the Temporal Ambassador cruiser. Now, it's going to be interesting, of course, because some people might go for a cruiser-type vessel with their commander upgrades if they've got a gold subscription. That effectively renders the point moot. You'll have access to a cruiser anyway, so you might as well get a raptor or a bird of prey. Then we're on into Wasteland, and this looks like, yes, it is the Nimbus plot, and I've been wondering what they were going to use this for. For those of you who haven't seen Star Trek V in a while, Nimbus 5 is the notorious planet of... No, it wasn't. That was Nimbus 3, was the planet of galactic peace. So named because it was such a worthless rock that nobody would fight over it. So, we have a Captain Harvson. Are we linking up with Starfleet here? Alright. Then we're on, it looks like the Orion's getting old. Hassan the Undying, he has been a on and off figure in the background for the Orions. I suspect at some point that second part of his title is going to be Tempting Fate. Fistful of Gorn, Ha 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 ha. And of course the Tal Shiar base hidden on Taris. I thought Taris was a person, not a world. Anyway, interesting that we've got Hakiv back, because chronologically this is set before the Romulan mystery, which of course is immediately what we then plough into. So we have the Vault, Mine Enemy, Frozen, Colosseum, Cutting the Cord, Darkness Before the Dawn. So it looks like the Klingons are going to be meeting Hakiv earlier than expected, midway through Commander in fact. With the Romulans out of the way, it looks like the plot lines start to merge up with the Federation. So we have the Drazana series, the 2800. Interestingly, here we have Seeds of Dissent, the New Link. Because I would really like to think that Cryptic weren't just going to recycle Starfleet content on us besides the already done featured episodes, but looking at these missions, because these are literally lifts from the Federation. The Cardassians need Starfleet's help to stop True Way's saboteurs. Now, it might just be that these are placeholders, but I really hope they're going to go back and remaster these. Because at the moment, if this is just going to be cut and paste, it's going to leave a bit of a bad taste in a great many Klingon players' mouths. Then we're on to the Borg. Report to Gamma Orionis, collateral damage, asset recovery, state of Q. These are all the classic Gamma Orionis missions. Again, if memory serves, that is Federation content that's just been ported across. Again, we shall see. I intend to try and play through all of this on Tribble, even if I'm not going to necessarily video the lot. The Breen invasion, likewise, this is the Cold Deferi chain. Honestly, I'm fine with this. This was always meant to be a double-sided thing for both the Klingons and the Federation. It was written with that in mind. And finally, the Undine Advance. Now, again, I have my reservations here. We'll see what happens when I actually get to run through the missions. But if they've just straight copy-pasted, particularly Fluid Dynamics, which was very much a diplomatic take the Betazoid telepath round and make nice to the natives, well, that could leave a bad taste in the mouth. But, for the moment, let us see what test of mettle the Chancellor has in mind. Congratulations, Borrower. You have proven yourself and are due the accolades of a true Klingon warrior. Return to the first city on Kronos. It's not going to be that simple, not with 10,000 skill points on the mark. Right, Kapla. Let us go and see the transport officer. I think they're still using the transport tribbles. Go away. Right. I note that we now have a... what are you? Oh yes, a Nautican. I seem to remember we had a Klingon on that post until he got it horribly, horribly wrong and was executed. And then we had to execute the people who carried out the executions. Oh, very nice, Cryptic. It's nice to see little touches like that coming into the game background. Beam to the first city. City! Not... You didn't hear that first errant syllable. That was a Mick error. And here we are, the Transporter Chief. Let's see, does he have the same line, I wonder? No, he doesn't. Good. That is actually a very nice touch. Right, speak with the ship vendor in the shipyard. God damn it. That is actually annoying. The mission description sends you to the first city, and then the actual mission sends you to the ship vendor. That does actually need to be clarified, whether they want you to... Either they need to amend the matter so that you... Wait a second. What is that arrow pointing there? Speak to... Oh, that's another thing that's batched off. Because, of course, you can't see it, but technically the starbase is on this map. So the directional arrow is happily pointing to it when, of course, ostensibly, well, I suppose it could be northeast in a very straight line. Depends what angle of declination Praxis Station is at. Anyhow, I'm rambling. Hello, new transporter operator. Sorry, didn't we execute the people who executed your predecessor? Anyway. Right, speak with ship vendor in shipyard. Right, hello there. What would I like to know? Well, you can give me the store. Now that I have a new ship, visit the ship select. Wait a second. What's going on here? Because... aha, right. Okay. Dilithium, 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 Zen, dilithium. Can we get an affordable filter in this selection window? It would be handy. Dilithium, 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 Zen, Zen, dilithium, junk. Bill, bill, junk, bill, bill, bill. Bill, 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 bill. Right, so I have no idea. Is that just a... Right, I wasn't actually aware of that, but thank you, Lasker, for just popping up out of nowhere. Right. What shall we cripple? A Starfleet battleship. The Cursor system has a Federation ship that matches the type you wish to engage. Okay, that's a nice bit of fudge. Right, so fly to Cursor system, A to Eridani's sector. Okay, so clearly that is all meant to happen automatically. I suspect maybe because I'm doing this with a rank 36 character. But even so, that felt a little bit disjointed. Maybe I'll come back to this when we get a new character and things will make more sense. For the moment, to the Cursor system. And we'll do it the old-fashioned way. Right, where are we going? Cursor system, cursor system, cursor system. Where is... Okay, that's interesting. That appears to be... Oh, of course, it's an A to Eridani, not... Whoops. Don't mind me, that was a... Yeah. Right. And in the meantime, let's fix the HUD. You can tell I haven't played this character in a long while. Just shunt the big personal tray down there. And, well, that's not great, but it'll do. Still not a fan of this UI. I mean, there are some nice touches, the coloured shield weapon and other power bars. But, yeah. Not entirely sold. It would be nice to have the old UI as an option, I think. Right. This is something else that's bugging me, is how inconsistent it is whether or not it displays the view screen layer. And more to the point, why is it displaying him on the view screen when I'm supposedly on my bridge with him? Then again, maybe I'm in my ready room. Who knows? Who cares? Just hit the warp drive. So, we're getting radio chatter from the Cursor system. I think they are expecting a Federation attack. I'm hoping for it. Right. The Cursor system. There we go. Interesting that Kronos was highlighted back on the Omega Leonis block, which, again, that's a little misleading. Also worth noting that we don't have a transwarp option. At least not an obvious one. So, 5 light years. Autofire is set, weapons are set. Gonna have to remember what I have these abilities rigged for. Actually, rejig the HUD again. Bridge crew over there. Shields, ship status there, throttle there. Weapons there. Power levels there. Personal trait there. Let's see. That's a bit better. The ability to move and juggle these guys would also be welcome. However, I'm honestly not sure how you're going to do this. So, cursor lies, Beto lies just within Klingon space. The Cardassians attacked here. Well, they got a little out of their way, didn't they? Right, continued test of metal. Let's go find this battleship. Right, the cursor system. Find me something to kill. Oh, that's a nice touch. Now they've got her properly on the bridge set. But I'm not sure about this flickering. I'm still having some problems with SSAO, so that might be it. However, kapla! Let us engage them in combat. Cloak up. Full impulse. And yes, we are going somewhere. Now let's put it on the far side of the moon, so that allows for a good ambush situation. Also, side note, I kind of miss having the trefoil or Starfleet Delta symbol there. I realise that the chat button is more obvious and functional, but meh. Personal taste again. As I said, if we can have the old UI back as an option, the classic UI, well, I wouldn't mind it, and I don't imagine many other people would either. So, round the moon, let us find these cowardly scum. Oh, they left navigation buoy. How convenient of them. Dump from impulse. Bring systems to power. Another nice touch here is that it gives you... Oh dear. Oh, well. Bastards. Come here. Minus 26. Okay, that's interesting. This is not level adaptive at the moment. Works for me. Let's just kill the miserable little petach. They've spoiled my fun. And for that, they must die. Messily. One auxiliary battery. Do you have anything else, you miserable little... Yes, they do. My treachery against the House of Torg. I assume that will make more sense. The House of Torg... House of... Oh, yes. Wasn't Torg that miserable little whelp who doesn't buy decent ships? Yes, 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 yes. Keep sending ships. Nice touch about the spontaneous decloaking. Normally I'd regard that as an irritation, but on this occasion it actually makes sense. That's a Galor. What are they doing using... Oh, who cares? Boom. Now, is that going to turn into a plot point? Ops. Excellent. Now, it looks as though they are not going... Depart system. Okay. Right, so, bug-wise, level adaptation needs to go in. Surprised that wasn't in already. It's in every other mission. You'd think it would be the default template. And if we talk to Junpok, I want to see if they make a note of the fact that that cruiser was a Galor, not a Klingon hull. And apparently no, they won't.
Congratulations, Captain.
Alright, so let's roll straight on into our house pursued. The Council is concerned that a rogue house is operating out of the Servan system. Hostile Orions belonging to some rogue house. Okay. Interesting that these are still scalpers. I assume Cryptic plan to add experience rewards. Sorry, rather equipment rewards. Not experience rewards, we've already got those. Quite generous ones as well. And interestingly, we have got Transwarp for this. So, 380 credits to the regular sector block. Interesting. Well, there is a war on, so I don't suppose anyone cares much about the frontier, except maybe those whining little Federation... Yeah. Anyhow, we appeared to be doing the cargo dance. We do not get to see this very often, ladies and gentlemen. It is an ancient Ferengi prosperity rite, or so I am told, that they will attempt to teleport their vessels en masse. Supposedly the sigils that you see from their engine trails are indications of which stocks you should invest in and which you should not. Or I could just be making that up on the spot. Let's go. It's also interesting, I suppose, that they knew exactly what kind of ship I was going after. Again, you can turn that into a plot point by saying, well, hang on, did someone on my crew sell them out? Number one, because no one else knew what we were hunting. Could make some interesting plot mileage out of that, but let's see what happens when this episode starts to kick into gear. House Pursued. Note that they've got the title in place. Right, Orion ships without KDF transponders. They belong to Orions. What do you expect? We should shoot first and ask questions. Oh, and no other ship has returned from this patrol. Terrific. How many Orions have I got on board ship at the moment? Alright, let's roll. Cloak up and move. Interesting. Defeat Orion traitors. And then destroy scam drones. Basically, they're all guilty until proven innocent. Is that a Borg sphere power core up ahead? Yes, it does rather look like a Borg core, doesn't it? This setup's familiar. I think I've seen this setup before, but it was on the Federation side and it was one of the old system patrols. Because you had the option of scanning this and then your bridge officers would mention that they'd call in the Da Vinci to take care of it. Because after all, it was clearly a Borg ship and it was clearly spewing something highly dangerous, bright green and radioactive. Right. Okay, line up. Set gyro angle. Cannons to rapid fire. And start. Note, by the way, that this mission is level adjusted. So I'm guessing Cryptic just need to do a pass on testing your metal. Pop. Mining drone. That's a wonderful little euphemism. Right. Full impulse. Come on, are you all dead yet? Okay, now why has that come up as a friendly? Weird. I don't have any Orions on my carrier. I have no idea what's going on here. I also don't really care. Let's just move on. Right. Next victim. Yes. Your tractor's going to break before mine will. Set that, trigger that. And kindly die. There we go. Hop up the next mining drone. Okay, so those are the scavenger drones. Yeah, there we go. So they're an objective. Now, where next? What? Oh, go away. Thank you. Right. Okay, squadron of Orion corvettes. Right, let's see how fast they fall over. 1, 2. Impressively so, as it happens. Right. Okay, where next? Start the scan. Well, that's not wildly helpful. But thank you anyway. Okay. Got one nav beacon here.
Ship is under attack.
There you are. Pop. Okay, so you've actually got more scavenger drones in the mission than you need to eliminate, which is simultaneously handy and very, very annoying. Right, next stop, some more Orion traitors. Also, right now, if I remember correctly, I actually saw tap our range and engage the cloak, because there was a freighter lurking around here somewhere, and I couldn't fathom out why. I want to see what's going on with it. I think it was over here, but it may have legged it by now. Beep boop beep boop beep. Clear target lock. May have been hallucinating it. More mining drones. Fine, we shall see for this cluster of rocks and miniatures set up here. So it looks like we're going to be blowing away some more corvettes anyway. Fine by me. Although I only see one corvette. Where are the others? On the second thoughts, who cares? Where's my weapon power? Pop. Okay. Yeah. And let's investigate the source and realise it's the Borg sphere. Ugh. Interesting touch. I like this new fall away dialogue mechanic. It's not popping up in the middle of the screen. That is a definite improvement. So, into the radiation source. Go away. Right, and just to check something, we'll drop into cloak to do this. There we go. And head on in. Yep, scan Borg sphere. So this is going to decloak us. Surprise, surprise. Okay, now that's interesting. At this point, well, A, the radiation is causing damage, which is not entirely happy. Nice touch there. And at this point, the Federation version of the mission ended. We seem to have a few extra bits and pieces. Scan the Orion facilities Alpha, Beta, Delta, and Gamma. So we're doing a round mission again. Now the question is, we've already cleared these out, so are we going to get enemies warping in? Will it matter? No, not really. Scan around base. Okay, so we're just getting a check mark on the objective there. Cloak up. Alright, one Orion cruiser. Let the weapons come back up. Standard cloak doctrine. Goodbye. Take items and scan the Orion base. Moving swiftly on to Gamma and Delta. Interesting point that they don't remove the objective markers as you clear the objective, so you're going to have to remember which bases you've visited. Does raise interesting prospects though of being able to scan a base multiple times, but it hasn't given me the option. And oh, that's interesting. We stayed cloaked for that. Oh, that is curious. I was expecting that to be an automatic decloak. Interesting. Let's see what we get here. Yeah, again, we've stayed cloaked through the scan. That's not an Orion. I'm just pointing this out. There we go. Right, at least it's a Klingon hull this time. So, standard attack approach. Boom. I don't know why you'd think they'd be rid of them. They were causing us problems less than 10 minutes ago. However, alright, so they were shipping the weapons to the Vela system, had a buyer named Hassan. He's an Orion, he's on his side. And we need to report to Jimpok immediately. So, missionary cannot leave a match combat. That is... It makes sense, but it's also irritating. Let's see if we can just hail the KDF instead. Excellent. Right.
Congratulations, Captain.
Excellent. So, that's... I withdraw my earlier opinion. That is a nice reworking, a nice reimagining of a mission that on the Federation side was a simple 5 groups of enemies patrol. And they've tied it into the Klingon plot, they've tied it into the House of Torg, and while I think the rewards perhaps need a little bit of a tweak for someone who's on their first run up the levelling ladder, that is actually pretty solid. So we shall call it there, for I've been rambling quite long enough, and I'll see you next time for more Tribble Timewarps.